So since this webinar is going to get recorded, we will begin now. And whoever wants to catch up on the initial parts, they can catch up with the recording as well. Thank you for joining us here today. And I'm co-founder of FlexiBees. My name is Deepa. And I have my wonderful colleagues here with me, Pranoti, Ruchika, and Sanjana. And just to give a brief about what we do at FlexiBees, we are a flexible talent platform and which we created for women professionals who are returning from a career break or who want to balance their work and life by doing meaningful jobs on a part-time basis and on a remote basis. That's who we are. And we provided roles to women professionals across all functions such as sales, marketing, digital marketing, finance, HR, technology, etc. And we are here today to discuss a very important topic around how can, if a woman has taken a career break, for whatever be the reason, maternity is usually the biggest reason, how can she prepare herself? How can she make a comeback? And what are the factors that will help her succeed in this tough journey? So I have my very experienced colleagues here who have been with us as long as almost the company has been in operation. So we have Pranoti, who is an insights manager with us, and Ruchika, who is a senior recruiter. And we have compiled a list of commonly asked questions that candidates usually want to know on this journey. And between them, they will help. They have already helped several women get back to work, and hopefully today they will share some of their knowledge as well. Before we begin, a very short introduction. Pranoti, if you can talk a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much, Deepa. Good afternoon, everybody. As Deepa said, I am Pranoti. I have been with FlexiBees since February 2020, just before the pandemic began and the lockdown began. And I was really fortunate to have this opportunity. I work as the insights manager at FlexiBees, and I work closely with the insights team and the recruitment team. Before joining FlexiBees, I was on a career break for almost 5 years to look after my two daughters. They are now 15 and 12. And I was ready to get back to work when I got the chance to work with FlexiBees. I have worked in the corporate world with market research agencies on the agency side, and I have worked internationally in the UK and America and India. So that's it about me. Besides working flexibly enables me to pursue some of my passions, such as running, cooking, and meditating. And I am delighted to be working with FlexiBees and really delighted to be here this afternoon to share my experiences with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranoti. Thank you. It's been a joy working with you as well. Ruchika, if you can talk a few words about yourself, please.
Sure. Thank you so much, Pranoti. Thank you so much, Deepa. So, hi, I'm Ruchika. I'm 38 years old and I am a mother to a kid. I mean, I have a daughter, she's 7 years old. And I'm working here in FlexiBees as a senior manager recruitment. I am really passionate about recruitment and talent acquisition as a role, and I'm really passionate about what I do here in FlexiBees, and of course, what FlexiBees as an organization is doing. Before motherhood, I was working with corporates as well. Like I worked in corporates for about a period of 6.5 years, and then motherhood happened, and I had to go on a career break. And then I got an opportunity to be associated with FlexiBees, and I really enjoy. I really believe in the core and vision values of FlexiBees as an organization, and it, of course, the flexible working. As Pranoti mentioned, it does give you that kind of flexibility to pursue your other passions. And for me, that's again running, and I am an avid reader, and I love practicing yoga. So yeah, thank you so much. That's all about me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ruchika. So let us begin with some common questions that women and candidates keep asking us, and hence we thought it will be useful to begin from there. So first of all, if say there's a person who's on a career break and she wants to return, and she's lining up some interviews, she's getting a few calls here and there. How can she really prepare herself? So there is a lot of fear because there is a certain amount of break and she would have forgotten a few things. How can she really prepare for this experience? Ruchika, do you want to start with that?
Sure, sure. See, if somebody is preparing for an interview after a long time, so the first thing that they could do is refer to the JD that's been shared to them. JD, I mean job description, and they can probably study about the requirement that the client has for that particular role, or the employee has for that particular role, and then they could probably get in touch with their ex-colleagues or the friends who are still working, and could anticipate the questions that could be put across. Of course, they could also anticipate the questions for the functional area. They could prepare the answers for those questions. And
can you explain what is functional area? Can you give some examples?
So for example, if you're preparing, it's a sales role for a business development manager. So as a business development manager, the few questions which could be asked: that what were your targets? How did you meet those targets? What were the challenges that you faced? Or what product were you selling, and what challenges did you face? And what was the process improvement that you did? So these are few questions that you could keep in mind. You could anticipate the answers to these questions, and then you could rehearse these questions and jot the points down. It always helps. Then update your resume. Please familiarize yourself with your resume. Mention those skills that you're more comfortable with, and focus less on the skills that you're not comfortable with. For example, if it's a sales role and you've done some digital marketing work in the past and you do not want to do that work anymore, or you do not plan to take that as your career path, so do not focus much on it. Do not mention too much things about it, because you might have forgotten. Focus more on probably lead generation or sales closures that you did, or the numbers or the targets that you made. So do that. Of course, study about the company, study about the product that the company is selling. Go on the LinkedIn page, know their top management, how the hierarchy looks. Familiarize yourself with the company, and of course, prepare a list of questions for the role, which you could probably ask at the end of the interview. So these are some pointers that you should keep in mind once you're going for an interview after a career break.
Wonderful, great. So this, what you said, just reminded me of an experience of one of our candidates, Dharti. So she prepared by talking to a lot of her colleagues and friends, and got to know about what is going on in her industry, in her functions. She was actually a project management professional, and she really aced her interviews as well as her job because of her preparation. Great answers, Ruchika. Thank you. So, very related question. So this is for preparing for any interview, right? But these days, post-pandemic, a lot of interviews are happening online over video, right? So, so is there anything different about going for a video interview? Is there any specific preparation around that? So, Pranoti, you want to take that?
Sure, I can, Deepa. So in terms of preparing for a video interview, first of all, if you are able to schedule the interview at a time when you know that you will have quiet, undisturbed time at home, that will be brilliant. If not, post a note on the door in the room you plan to be in saying do not disturb. Tell other household members that under no circumstances can you knock on the door or come inside because you have an interview going on. So that will certainly help. Ensure that the room is quiet. One of my candidates actually told me that this is what she used to do for her interviews. Stick a note there, talk to her children beforehand that they cannot come in, it's out of bounds for them. Nice. The other thing is do a dry run on the platform that the video video interview is going to take place on. It could be Zoom or Google Meets or something else. And even if it's a platform that you have used a bit before, but I'd say go back therein and make sure that you can click on the link, that you know how to handle the various functions on that platform. That will really help and will avoid any last minute panic, which we really don't want to have on the day of the interview. The other thing is log in 5 minutes before the interview is scheduled. We do that even in real life, right? Where we go to the office of the interview 5 minutes before. We leave home well in advance to allow for any kind of snags in the travel. So log in 5 minutes before the interview and be prepared. So my candidates, when we call them, Sometimes I have phone interviews more often than not. Sometimes they have video interviews as well. But then they have, they've cleared their time, at, and kept themselves
that.
free, and they are waiting.
Yeah.
So that's very important to do. Also, I'd say very important, we take it for granted if you're sitting at home and conducting an interview that we can just log in and we are there. But groom yourself before the interview well.
Yeah.
Just as you would dress and get ready for going to the office for an interview, very important that you groom yourself, you look your best, you feel confident when you're sitting there for that. Even if it's a phone interview, I think you might find that just dressing for an interview will give you a lot more confidence to speak in than giving the interview in your casual clothes or your pajamas.
Absolutely.
So those are the tips I'd give for preparing
Excellent.
a video interview. From
Wonderful. This reminds me, Pranoti, if you don't mind adding. So one of our colleagues, Sanya, recently shot a video also on how to increase one's confidence before appearing for an interview. Maybe you guys can also check it out. It's there on the Times Ascent page itself for Mother's Day. So she was also saying points around self-talk. So how important positive self-talk is, where you can pep yourself up and do some kind of breathing or relaxation exercises, because that is important. And your best will come out when you are more relaxed, right? That's what we ultimately want. So I think, you want to add
Can
something?
I also add here, Deepa? When you're sitting across the table in the same room, there is a lot that we can share from our non-verbal cues. But it's challenging in a video interview because you're there on a small screen, so you really have to make an impact.
Correct.
Right? So I'd say, just as we tell children to rehearse lines for a play, for a school play, it's standing in front of the mirror. Stand in front of the mirror and say what it is that you're going to say. So rehearse answers to commonly asked questions in front of the mirror. So
Sometimes people feel shy to do that, as if like it's in front of kids and all of that. But I think, yes, we must invest the time in ourselves to do that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, great. So now that we have reached the interview and we are prepared and we are confident, so often women struggle around the first question, right? So tell me about yourself. So what should she say here? Because she's had a life of experiences. So which parts to cover? This often gets a little confusing. So Ruchika, you can explain a little bit from your experience what you've seen.
Sure. Thanks, Deepa. So I'll just keep it very brief, and also that I would like to answer this question in a little different way. So there are some do's and don'ts that you need to keep in mind when somebody asks to introduce yourself. So don'ts. Just remember, do not mention or dwell too much on your personal information, like for example, your father's name, your mother's name, their occupation, etc. Avoid unnecessary information. I mean, it's not required at all. So probably things that you could keep in mind, or things that you could, share, is probably your name. I mean, of course, your name, then probably your hometown. If you're comfortable doing that, you could do that. And, your professional experience, your qualification.
That is most important. Yeah. Right.
Your current or your past experience, or if you're working currently, you could speak about that, or some freelancing project you did. If you're on a break and you did some freelancing project in between, you could probably speak about that as well. Focus more on the expertise and the skill sets that you're getting on the table for the client, which matches with their company's objectives and growth. You have to tweak your answer as to that. Focus more on that, and probably speak about some of your strengths or some certification that you've done during this break. And use this 1 minute very smartly to actually leave a very everlasting impact, rather than focusing on personal information too much. So these are a few pointers, Deepa. I feel that personally, this is how it should be done. And I'm seeing candidates here in FlexiBees is actually doing introducing themselves. Those are the things that they're keeping in mind when they speak to the client, or rather when they speak to us as well. So
right. So put forth their professional self more and keep a little lower on the personal side. And great points. And I think I also took away that you have to tailor what you are saying to the role, right? So
Yes.
it is like as you have more experiences, you can talk about many things, but it's
Yes.
important to structure it as to what this particular client, this particular role is needed, what is needed here. So I think, yeah, wonderful. Again, if they rehearse this question, maybe people have to rehearse also, right?
Yes.
So
And,
tell
and,
me about it.
and
Yeah.
yes. And I think they should keep it short, because during the course of the
Mm,
interview, a lot of questions might pop up, which, they could elaborate more on
yeah.
what they've done during their break time. I mean, during their gap time. So
Yeah.
yeah, they could
Yeah.
they could keep this precise.
Okay. So, so if after this, say if they are asked, then why do you want to apply for this particular role, right? So again, so is it like again they should be all professional about it? Can you discuss a little bit more about that? Mm.
Sure, sure. So this is a very commonly asked question, and
Mm.
again, you have to be very logical and practical when you're answering this question. So
Mm.
you have to do your homework before you apply for
Mm.
this,
Yes.
which is I'm sure everybody is aware of. So you'll have
Mm.
to analyze the JD very with a very hawk-eye kind of a situation. You'll have to analyze the JD thoroughly. You'll have to highlight
Mm.
the points and the requirement that the interviewer is looking at this particular role, and probably you could
Mm.
highlight or tick mark the skill sets
Mm.
or expertise that you get on the table.
Mm.
And
Mm.
probably, when they ask you, you could talk more about the kind of expertise and skill sets that you are getting to the table, which will be beneficial for the company,
Yeah.
and which matches with the company's objectives and growth. And you could also go to the client's website and study about their mission and vision value and the
Yeah.
work culture. And probably you could make your
Mm.
answer, or you could put your answer across in a way that you really
Mm.
want to join this particular organization because it offers a lot of opportunity for you to grow, and there are a lot of upskilling programs that are being offered, and you are at this point of juncture in your career is looking
Mm.
at that, combined with the kind of skill sets which is mentioned in the JD that you're getting on the table. So it's a good match that ways. And if there are some additional factors along with the JD that's been mentioned, probably a flexible working situation, or it's a hybrid work model, or it's work from home. So you could also elaborate, or the candidate could also elaborate more on that. This is also what they're looking at, because it gives them the
Right.
flexibility of maintaining.
Great.
So
Great.
yes,
Okay. Great.
that
Thank you. So I think we have covered the important professional questions and the commonly asked questions. Now there is another kind of important question, but it is like a white elephant or an elephant in the room. Sorry, not white elephant. So it's like the elephant in the room of the career break. But before I go to that question, I want to ask this group, this audience, do you have anything to clarify from Pranoti or Ruchika? Any questions do you have you want to ask that we have not yet covered, or we can clarify further? Anybody wants to go? I saw somebody raising their hands, but I couldn't capture who it was. Aditi or
Akanksha had raised her hand. Akanksha, do you
okay.
have a question?
Maybe you should unmute them, Sanjana, specifically. Okay. Okay, we are not seeing anybody, but feel free to type in the chat so we can pick it up at the relevant part of the conversation. So then I will move on to the elephant in the room. So Pranoti, so this all said and done, we are all prepared, right? Still, there is this nagging. I have been out of work for 3 years, 5 years, whatever I needed. My life demanded it, right? So is it true that I am a little behind, and should I feel a bit bad about this, or how do I overcome that? So what kind of preparation should I do to overcome this nervousness that I have about my break, and what should I do at the interview about it?
Deepa, you've raised such a valid point. And in all the interviews that we conduct at FlexiBees with our candidates, we come across this all the time. Women
Mm.
have taken a break
Yeah.
anywhere from, say, a period of 1 year or more.
Mm.
And yes, they feel a bit, say, underconfident, a bit nervous. Very
Mm.
often, the initial interviews they're having with FlexiBees is the first interview they're giving
Yeah.
in a very long time. And they have also been applying to other positions, to other job openings, and very often they get the sense from companies that they're not looked at very favorably because of their career break. So that makes them even more unsure and nervous. So first of all, I'd say, don't be confident. Sorry, not don't be confident. Be confident and don't apologize for taking that career break. It is something that you had to do for your personal reasons. You did it. And now the great thing is that you're there looking to rebuild and restart your career again. So don't apologize. Don't talk about it in an apologetic manner. Be confident. Secondly, I'd say, go through your resume, go over the work that you have done, the experience, the skills that you have built, and build that confidence while going through your resume.
Right.
And secondly, look at the job descriptions of the roles that you're applying to. Look at them closely, match them with the experience that you have, so that when you are talking to your interviewee, you are able to bring out the points about why you are the right person for this job.
Yeah.
And particularly in roles such as tech roles and development roles, right, where things are changing at such a fast pace, candidates tend to be especially unsure about, they don't have the actual experience of using a particular technology or platform. But as long as you're able to demonstrate to the interviewee that you have the right attitude to learn it, that you're willing to spend some extra time outside of work hours to learn it, it scores great points for you. A lot of our candidates, not just in tech, but even in marketing, digital marketing, even in sales, actually, they all spend some time in that run up to starting to look for a job, doing some courses online. And there are so many of them that are on offer. They're paid courses, unpaid courses. So they talk about the courses that you have done, because that shows your commitment and your keenness to get back to work, and your commitment and keenness to upskill or even keep in touch with your skills and just build on them, right? So speak about that, because that gets you lots of points. So I think talk also about transferable skills. For instance, I have spoken to candidates for sales who have done B2C sales, so business to consumer sales, but they are also applying to business sales positions. And they talk about what skills they have developed in the B2C space, and how they can bring them to the B2B space, right? And why and how they think that they can adapt themselves to this environment. And if you give those solid reasons, well thought through reasons, that really helps you tide over some of the bits that you might be feeling unsure about. So I think in a nutshell, yes, this is how I think you can address that.
So basically, don't own it, own your break. It happened for a reason, and there's nothing wrong about it or bad about it. And now you are ready, right? So indicate your readiness on the professional front as to how have you prepared, and whom have you spoken to, and what work have you done to show yourself as capable, right? So I think, very wonderful, worthy points. And this transferable skills is a very, very important point also, because oftentimes women underball what they're capable of, right? So there is a very well-known study that men tend to indicate or say more confidently about the things that they have done or they're capable of doing, whereas women need a bit more of nudge to say that, right? So I think it's very important to, first of all, analyze what are the skills which are transferable. Say, for example, if you're a finance professional and you have slowly transitioned into content writing, there are so many cases where we have seen finance professionals become niche content writers in the finance domain, and they are so sought after. It's such an important and sought after skill in fintech startups especially. And most of our clients are startup companies who value this maturity that the returnship woman brings, right? So there is an edge that a woman on a career break and returning is able to bring, which is the maturity of her age. So in fact, it's not a negative, it's a positive that she has that experience and she has that maturity that many others younger to her may not have. So I think it's very insightful what you said, to focus on your positives and to work on it and build it up, really, right? Great. Thank you, Pranoti. So now that you have also projected yourself in a positive light and you see that things are going well, so you called for the second or subsequent rounds of interviews as well. So, so is there any other aspect that once you clear the interviews, you need to take care of before you actually re-enter, before you actually join the job? Is there anything you have to work out, prepare for? Can you talk a little bit about that, Pranoti, from what you've
Sure.
seen?
So I think one aspect that women who are returning to work and returning to work in a remote working, flexible hour or a part-time job need to think about is, you have the will to work, you're highly motivated to work, you're very keen to restart your career, and you managed to land that job. But there are some things that you need to take care of on the personal front. So one of the most important thing is to actually ensure that you have those 4 or 5 or 6 hours, or how many ever hours that this role requires and that the company has asked for, that you actually have those hours to work. And how do you ensure that you do that? You need to have the right support systems in place, which means that right from the word go, from the time that you even start scanning the marketplace for jobs, start interviewing, applying to places, you need to speak to your spouse, to parents or in-laws who might be living with you or whose support you want in taking care of the children or running the household. So make them part of the
family
process.
support is very important.
Have their buy-in, right? So that you have that support system in place. Also, if you feel, if you don't have family support, but you need to hire help, start casting your eye around for nannies or for helpers who can help you with the children. Start talking to friends and people in the area so that you start interviewing people and find somebody you're comfortable with even before you begin work, because that takes time as well for your children to settle in with a new nanny, with a new person. If they have been used to only mom looking after them for many months, it's a difficult transition to make. So to make it as easy for you as possible, to make it as easy for your family and children, start that process earlier and have that nanny on board even before you begin work, if it's possible to do it. It might sound really silly, my next point, especially if kids are small, but even at the age of 2, they can understand. So speak to them and tell them that mommy is now looking for a job. She's going to start working.
Absolutely.
She's going to be closed in the room. You can't disturb her. You got to play nicely. This is what you have to do. Talk to them, get their buy-in so that when you actually begin working, it's not, it's not a huge shock to them. And that, they also take some pride in the fact that their mother is going back to work. And I've seen that a lot in our candidates who have older children. They say, I want to work because I want to set an example for my children. Mothers talk about their children saying, Mommy, why aren't you going back to work? Please go back to work. You've studied so much. You're so well educated. You were working before you had me. Go back to work. So speak to your family, speak to your children about about returning to work. The other thing is be willing to move around things in your day. You are used to doing things.
I just want to add something on this family pride, Pranoti. Like this we felt was really powerful because it's not only in the job search, even for the woman or the mother to continue to work after she lands a job. The support of the family is so important. So, and it's not just like, oh, it's just part-time, I will manage when the family doesn't need me. That should not be the attitude at all, right? It's a very serious endeavor, which is for her own fulfillment. Her work is important to her, and the family has to see that, whether it is 2 hours per day or 6 hours per day or 10 hours per day, that shouldn't matter, right? So I think that family pride, we have seen that play out so many times, and the whole the family equation shifts actually when the mother starts working. So we recently conducted a survey where we found that the confidence of women professionals who are getting back to work, that is significantly higher compared to those who are not able to get jobs, right? The confidence, the financial independence they get, and the say they have in families. So you may not want to share that much or take that much that much of space in a family argument or something in case when you're not working, whereas you have a lot more agency. You feel like you have a lot more power. So there are real shifts which happen and within the family equation when a mother starts working. And one of the things what we have done at FlexiBees is also we have this operations team which also supports women after they are placed with a little bit of hand holding, little bit of guidance, because we know from our experience that that there will be teething troubles, right? So, and they have to be managed even afterwards. So it's not like there is a preparation and then everything will be fine. Everything won't be fine all the time. So, but we should not have the impulse to quit at that time. So I mean, we will get the impulse to quit at that time, but we need to hang on and say, okay, tomorrow will be a better day, and go on. So what we have actually, one of the things we have done is whenever somebody joins after getting selected, they join FlexiBees, we actually send a congratulatory letter to the whole family saying congratulations to the family for helping her get to this stage. And then even at the next stage, we need your support and she needs your support. That's how important family support is for everybody, and especially for a mother who's returning to work. So I thought I'll just share that in the context of family that you were saying. Sorry, I interrupted you. Please go on. Any other preparation apart from the family support, Pranoti?
Any other preparation? I think also in your mind, you know, keep in your mind.
I think somebody went off mute by mistake.
Sanjana, can you mute everyone, please?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, done. Sorry.
Lovely. Sorry. So any other preparation to be done to return to work? So I was going to say that in your mind's eye, you know, run through your daily schedule and have some sense of what are the timings that you're going to be able to commit to this job. Because even though it is flexible hour, remote working, depending on the role, on the nature of the job, there will be some timings that you will need to be available, right? So try and as far as possible, be available for those 4 or 5 hours. Try if you can stick to a certain band of timing. Of course, you have the flexibility to change that as per your schedule, but it helps, especially in roles where you're going to be working with other teams at the client end, that they know that in general, Pranoti is available between 11 and 1 in the afternoon, and then she's available again from 4 to 6. And yes, and Pranoti also would need to be flexible a little bit around that and be available for meetings outside those hours. All of this gets filled in, you know, you kind of figure out the timings once you get familiar with the team and so on. But in general, keep in mind that these are the hours that you're going to work, so that you build that discipline into your day, so that you say that I will get done with my responsibilities on the family and home front and my personal front by this time, so that by 10 o'clock or 11 in the morning, I'm sitting in front of my screen ready to begin work. Also, even if you're working 4 or 5 hours, it's still a significant part of the day. You know, a regular work day, 7 to 8 hours, 4 to 5 hours is no small amount of time. So we can't take it very casually that, I can work part-time. It's not at all that casual. So take it very seriously, because the client is counting on you to be available at that time. And you should be able to demonstrate to the client, because I understand that unlike in the real physical world where people get the opportunity to meet you, interact with you face to face, you don't have that. You're doing all the work, all the interactions, sitting far away from the client office. So you have to bring that discipline in. Be willing to make the changes to your personal and daily routine in order to fit this work in very, very seriously. I think, and if you do this well, you're paving the path for hundreds and thousands of other women who can also take on flexible part-time hours with confidence and make companies very confident in hiring them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Are there any questions from the audience? Does anyone want to ask anything till whatever we have covered so far? Sure. Tulika Mangi. Sanjana, can you unmute Tulika so she can ask her question?
Yeah, I think Tulika can unmute herself. Tulika, please do if you can. Otherwise, I'll support.
Sure. You can type also, Tulika. you can type or you can directly ask also, whichever way is fine. Yeah, I think while oh, okay. How can we know after such a long break whether a company would be okay to hire me or not? Right. Um, Pranoti, you want to start, make a beginning with this because this is related to a question you answered. So after a long break, like there are companies who actually have a misconception that they won't because of the break. Okay, maybe I will take this one because this is more on the vision side of FlexiBees. Basically, Tulika, what we have seen that there are enough number of companies who are willing to hire, and in fact, they respect the talent and the experience that these women professionals bring in, right? So that is also what you should also look for. So does this company really respect the experience that I bring in? So which field do you have prior experience in? If you can just enter in the chat, I can give examples according to that. Say, for example, into operations. Okay, great. So you've been into operations and things have moved a little bit, and you're basically underconfident whether companies will be willing to hire you, right? So what we have seen from our experiences, there are a lot of startup companies especially who value this talent, and we actually interact and we get business from these startup companies. So we explain to them the benefits of flexible hiring and part-time models, and they also want part-time people to work for them, right? For a few reasons. One is they are growing, so they don't have the requirement for the work for say 8 to 10 hours a day. So they at first when they want an accountant, they will want only 2 hours a day, then 3 4. So the work also grows according to the growth of the startup company. So first of all, they are open to this model of hiring, part-time model. And who is the best person for part-time? Women, mothers, right? Because mothers have part-time hours to give because of their various responsibilities, and so they are the best fit for this requirement that startup companies have of hiring people with experience and in a part-time basis, right? Otherwise, what they have to do, they have to go and train freshers, and they have to spend that time in engaging and training them. Whereas if you already have some experience, of course you will need some time to freshen up, but you bring that experience with yourself. You won't completely forget what you were good at, right? So there are a lot of companies, and we actually build both sides. So that's what we do, because our vision is to re-employ professionally qualified women who have taken a break and to come back into meaningful careers, which is meaningful, which is relevant to their experience. And for this purpose, we ourselves have to find the clients who can recruit them, right? So both of these jobs are done by companies like FlexiBees. We ourselves do this, and you will find that already in the business selling side, we would have told these companies who these women are. So it's not like some shock that they see that, oh, you have a career break. It's not like that. They already know that this is what we do. We place women who are returning from a career break, who want to work part-time, and you need part-time people, and you don't have too much time on the hands to train somebody. So please take this experienced professional. So there is a perfect match that happens there. In case of startup companies, there are also larger companies whom we help hire through our women pool, like there is Aptech or Diageo, Unilever, P&G. So there are a lot of big companies, Kimberly-Clark, also have this need of because why they will need because they have a project to be completed. Something has to be done in 3 months, right? And then they can't hire like a full-time person for a 3-month project. So then they come to us. Can you give me some part-time person? Can you give me a person who can work only for 3 months? So there are different kinds of companies who have different type of need, but they all need you, right? So don't think that, oh, why will they need me? There are people who need you. They are people who need your brains. They need your experience. All you have to do is prepare yourself. What are your best things? And you put forth your best things. So skill is the currency, basically. What are the skills? So we don't go by like, say, I have 5 years of experience or 8 years of experience. It's not like that. It is what skill can you do. So can you do project management? Do you know agile? Do you know whatever is that industry or function, those terminology, that's how, like Ruchika and Pranoti and all, how they select people is based on that skill. So skills are what you have to see and develop yourself. Don't worry about other things. If somebody doesn't recruit you, it is their loss. Okay. Which should be the next question? I think I see Anika raising hand. Sanjana, do you know how to accept her?
Yeah, Anika, you want to unmute yourself?
Hello, good evening to each and every lovely woman and ladies. Y'all are doing a very good job. I actually there's some sort of a maybe a mentality break in Indian companies or something like that, which I am being experiencing.
Yeah.
You're correct that companies do look forward towards women who are willing to join after break, and women are more excited and more eager to join them.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
there is a break in the company's mind that the woman won't be able to do the job, which is absolutely opposite to what the woman would be putting in. I mean,
Correct.
after a career break, it's like the woman would be putting her 150% efforts rather than 10% or 20%, because
Correct.
earlier her priorities were different, but now her priorities are very, very, very different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this mindset, I don't know how the companies will change. So my question actually is, how do you leverage according the pay scale for the work you'll be doing? I mean, because financial independence is the most important thing for a woman coming from after a career break, and you cannot deny that part. So, like I am from the finance background, and you cannot say the company that no, I'm not looking for something monetary for monetary things.
Absolutely. No, I get your point. I'll answer
That is
this for you.
absolutely not the case. You are the reason why you are coming back is because you want financial independence. As simple as that.
And there is no need to put ourselves down that way either, right?
Exactly,
so we work
exactly.
and we have to be valued for the work. So we are asking for value for the work, and there is no need for us to say that, oh, you have done this great thing by taking me after a career. But there's no need at all to feel that. And as long as you have the skills and you are able to demonstrate the skills, right? So there are various ways to demonstrate. One is the interview is a way of demonstrating. Many people do some projects, they're able to showcase some assignments. Depends on the function, right? So if it's if you're in if you were in equity research, for example, you show the portfolio of your past work, past reports that you have done, right? Or
sorry to interrupt you, Deepa, but honestly speaking, the moment you show them your resume, they're not interested in what 12 years or 15 years of experience you have. They are more focused on the 1 year gap you have.
Correct. I
really
get your
don't
point.
understand why.
Yeah, that
I mean,
happens
it's
in
not
the
that-
that's why we started FlexiBees. So that is
it's not that in
that
one
is
year
the
you have
reason
forgotten
why we
everything.
started. Correct.
Why don't they ask? Okay, why if they are asking you which degree, which year degree you completed, then why don't they ask? Oh my God, you've completed your degree in so and so year. Then you must have forgotten. No, then why are they asking this question? That within 1 year you have forgotten everything. Why?
Yeah, I agree, and I am
I fail to
similarly
understand.
angry.
I mean,
I got the point, Anika. So this
you
is the
would be
anger which
surprised.
made
I just
us.
want to, I want to share one a really good experience for every woman out there. And I'm telling you, interview they call you, they tell you, they talk to you, and after 2 seconds, they are like the company has withdrawn because they want a male. The position is only for males. And I'm like, wow, wonderful. When you are talking to me,
Anika,
when you are my resume,
in the
it was
interest of
not for
time.
male. Yeah.
Anika, in the interest of time, I understand your actually your the biases that you have faced, because these are the very same biases that actually nudged us to start this company in the first place.
Yeah,
right? So
agree,
it doesn't exist today. It's a very sad situation. It's a very sad situation that we are, after starting the company, after so many years, we are still hearing the same story which I faced several years ago.
Absolutely
right? So
correct.
I am a returning mother myself, right? So I this all the problems you have faced are the stories which I have faced, and I have been surprised and shocked that with my pedigree, the brands that I have worked with, the kind of experience
Yes.
I've had, how the hell can I not get a job, right? So I think that is the anger that
No,
we
that is still
channelized.
fine.
Yeah,
That is still
yeah.
fine.
So
You're not
uh,
getting a job, but still say having the same mindset, and you are launching the programs of re-returning for women. Then why are you
correct.
naming it?
So
Why are you naming it?
yeah, correct. True, true. The same thing. I've also gone for a lot of second innings opportunities and all of that. And I've faced questions like, can I call you at 10 p.m. in the night? Will you take my call? So, I mean, they don't ask men that question, right? Can I call you at 1 a.m., 10 p.m., whatever. So these are very, very hard-coded systemic issues in society, and which are also reflected in organizations. Very deep issues, deep conditioning that we have about gender roles, right? It starts there. So
Right.
what are the
Right.
roles that a woman or a mother is supposed to perform, what a man or they are supposed to perform? It starts there. Then it has gotten institutionalized across education, in corporate world and everywhere. um, and of course, it doesn't help that there are not enough and reliable childcare facilities, right? So affordable and reliable. So a lot of women have to drop out for that reason, right? If you had good enough childcare facilities, you would be able to balance and without leaving your job. So there are huge amount of systemic inequities in our society, and there is a lot of work to be done for women empowerment. There is, in fact, you just pick any space you want, you can do work for women empowerment. It's like that, right? So I maybe you can build a business where you can provide reliable nannies, you can provide affordable daycare centers, right? We chose this path that we will make flexible work happen. So that is the thing which we understood basically. अच्छा ठीक है, हमको business आता है, हमको professional समझ में आता है, we understand this pain, and this is our pain which we have seen, and literally millions of women are facing this pain, right? So this is the path that we have chosen, and we are chipping away at this problem very slowly. It's just chipping, scraping, and it is working, right? So it is working. We are going where it is working, right? So we are also having to rationalize our bandwidth. So we are going where, if you are able to respect this professional in your startup for part-time work, please, I will respect you. I will give you this wonderful person, right? And that is where we are going. We are going where the respect is already there. And we want to go where we want to go everywhere, right? We are so the basically our effort is to normalize. And in fact, one of our webinars another webinar is coming up on Mother's Day. In case you guys have the time, you can attend that also, where we will feature two of our candidates who have been very successful, and what has been their journey, and very similar. Everyone has similar stories, what hardships they have faced and how they have come out. So so basically we go to these places where we already have some respect, and then we build upon that, and we are creating this universe of flexible work options and giving some kind of legitimacy to that, some kind of credibility to that. Because work from home job, just part-time job, just this job, just that job. So that kind of a thing is changing today because of in a very small way, whatever we have done, we are able to show that this is a very serious revolution is happening, right? So, and we are not at all satisfied as to where we are. We want to magnify that, and we want to make that as a societal change. But change has to begin somewhere. So I can see change has begun. Also, pandemic has also changed a little bit of mindset, right? One is of course remote work and all of that. Then I think in the pandemic, what has happened is people are able to see employees as human beings at some level, with the child and with the messiness of work and with the messiness of work-life integration, that especially the heavy phase when everyone had to work from home, right, including the children. So there's been a little bit of sensitivity opening up. So that means that even fathers are seen as somebody who has a role to play, right? Unlike pre-pandemic. So there is change, there are changes, and you are very right to be angry. You must be. But how do you make this system work for you? Finally, this is the system. So you start something, change something, or you join something where progress is being made. So and I can't say there is no inequity. There is inequity. There is a lot of inequity, and there is small changes are happening. So join the places which support you is what I would say.
Maddie Singh has asked a question in the chat.
Okay.
How can I leverage my motherhood during an interview?
Okay. So motherhood during the interview is so in motherhood, motherhood also is not like some one word statement, right? There's a range of experiences in motherhood. So you will have had challenges, you'll have had ups and downs, and you would have managed crisis, and you would have had whatever, understood and grown, right, as a person. So that's what motherhood does a lot. So it's you grow with your child. So the child, you take care of the child, but actually you also grow with the child. So there is so much of perspective that gets added. So I think you can talk about those things, the softer things. It will be difficult to quantify, and I don't know, it's difficult to translate it into managerial terminology exactly, but the change does happen, right? So you find a way where you can talk about it in a meaning, which it should be meaningful to you, right? Say, for example, if you're a sales professional, you can say that it has added something to me which was not there previously, right? I have had to become more patient, so I'm naturally listening more to the clients, and so I'm getting the requirements even more right, or it does happen. So it's not a wrong thing to say, and you can that those things build obviously. So you can talk about those things which are relevant to your job. Yeah, sorry, I think Anika, yes, Anika, you had many things, so I didn't answer this one. How should you determine the pay? You ask the company. Okay, so again, I am most comfortable about sharing what we do. So let me speak that first, and then we will see what we can do. So so because this is our bread and butter, part-time and remote jobs, what we do is when we get the role from a client, for example, we benchmark it to the market, and then we prorate it to the number of hours that that will be needed for that role. And this is not done based on the number of years. Okay, so that is the fortunate and unfortunate part. I'll tell you why both. So it is based on, again, the skills that that job requires. Okay, so it is a demand led function, because that's where the money comes in, right? The clients are paying for the service, so it has to be demand led, it has to be curated to that level. So for these specific skills, what is the payment that happens in the market? And then, to be fair, there is a proration which gets applied to the number of hours. And then the way we operate is we do a back-to-back contracting because of the preference from both sides, and we keep something to manage our expenses of running operation, and then we pass on to the candidate, right? This is the broad way we work. And skills is basically the currency that we have decided that should be the case, because otherwise it becomes really subjective, especially because of this break angle. Different people experience the break in different ways. They are able to process it in different ways. They are able to come out of it in different ways, right? So the only way we know to actually bring everyone to some common way of speaking is the skills. So what might happen is, you might have done 20 things, but if the job requires you to do 4 things, we will be able to get you payment for those 4 things. It can't be the 20 things which happened in the past, right? So that is the bad thing. But we can also see it positively, because what does also happen is many people pick up a lot of skills. Like in marketing has grown so much. So Sanjana here is a prolific digital marketer. So she learns every week. So every week something is new. She keeps saying, Deepa, see, this has come out. See, can we do this? Can we do that? That is the pace of change, right? Because somebody like her is very up to date, so she can also say, oh, okay, see, this skill I already know, even though it has changed. I didn't have that skill. So it might have been at 0 before your break. And now you have 5 additional things. and you have worked with friends, family, you built that thing also, built that experience also, then that also you can command. So there also it is not dependent catch a 1 year experience in this. No, you already have that skill. It's in demand. And nobody has 1 year experience because it's a new skill, right? So there also the number of years of experience doesn't count. So basically we will need to have a different frame of reference of skills being the currency, and then benchmark it to the job that is needed, to the hours that is needed. That is the way that there is some logic which is in which it is done here. So I would say maybe a similar, because I don't know where you're applying. So if it's a returnship kind of a thing, it will be already prefixed, right? So there will be a band, and because a lot of it is also a program, right? This is my program and I will get X number of women in this program. So that kind of thing, then you have to go with that run of the mill kind of a model where they say this band, I will need these many people. So you go fit into that band or this band or whichever it is. And in negotiations, it may be easier to approach with this skill-based kind of kind of a rationale, and which means you will have to do a little bit of homework prior. I hope I have answered the question now. Okay. Have we answered all the questions which have been written here? I think yes.
We have, yes. We can close now.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else wants to ask any final questions? No. Okay. Okay, great. It was great talking to all of you. And do check us out. We are at www.flexibees.com, and Times Ascent is doing a wonderful job of celebrating mothers. So do check out what all is happening on the site. And we look forward to interacting with you again. Be there on our social media pages. We will keep releasing some useful content or the other for this specific audience. Thank you so much.